Hello, everybody. Well, I got kind of bad news. Um, Guests didn't haven't made it yet. So I don't know what to do. Um, Told them 8 o'clock. They haven't got on. So I apologize for not having a guest. Um, well, uh, hold on. Anyway, we're going to resend a link. Um, Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. I resent the link to this one, and we'll see if we can get them on. Uh, I apologize. It's been technical difficulties. I apologize. Can everybody see me? Everybody see me on the thing? Just somebody put a one in the chat. Hello? Yeah. Everybody can see me. Anyway, they should be on here shortly. Resend a link, and we should be able to get a show going. We're starting. Anyway, we're going to bring them on. I hope. Yeah, Eric, that's it. Don't know why they're not coming on. Anyways, I'm going to. Well, we lost them. So there we go. There we go.
Okay. We switched phones.
We had to switch
okay.
phones.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Okie dokie.
So the show's on.
So the
you
show's
guys
on. You guys
are on. So
are on.
Huh?
So
it's do y'all have another
do y'all have
phone
another
near the
phone
speaker?
near the speaker?
No. No.
How's that?
That's better.
That's better. Okay.
How are you doing tonight?
Oh, doing all right.
Doing all right.
If you've got YouTube,
If you've got YouTube,
you're gonna have to turn it off.
you're gonna have to turn it off.
No.
Well, for some reason, it's going back to.
Do you have YouTube up on your phone?
No.
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 Because everything I say comes back to y'all
speak. We're gonna try her phone again.
No, not because it didn't send.
Okay.
I mean, if I hit it, it goes. It goes back to where it was, and he couldn't see us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just done
It
the
just done the
little
little.
So let's just do it this way. Y'all tell me a little bit about how you got started in there, and we'll go from there.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I do quite a bit of fishing. I'm a professional angler, outdoorsman, what have you. And years ago, I was fishing in an area, southeastern Kentucky, that me and I took my grandson and my son to quite a bit. The stream, and it's off a county road down there. And that weekend, I didn't have them, and so I decided to go down there on my own, and what I did, I went ahead and pitched camp where we always pitch camp. And I decided to go ahead and wade fish downstream. See if I could find, some deeper pools and what have you, bigger fish. And like I say, I had several days, so I wasn't in no hurry or anything. So the next day, Saturday, I went ahead and took my time, got out there about 11 o'clock. It's in July. Beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. And I commenced to going ahead and wade fish and catching some fish and doing pretty good. Anyway, I got down about a mile or so downstream there, and I found a really, really great spot. The pool was a deep pool, and I was pulling fish and what have you. And I went ahead and thought, well, I'm gonna go ahead and head back. I had quite a few on my stringer. I'm gonna go ahead and head back to camp. And as I just turned to head back, and big rocks, hit the water in front of me. Another one hit the water in back of me. Another one hit the water to the side. And I thought, I didn't know what was going on, So I turned in the direction where the rocks were coming from, and I seen 3 huge silhouettes, really big. And I just kind of wondered, what the hell was that? What's going on? Anyway, this one walked out into the creek, and I was about 30 feet away from him. And I was looking at him. He was looking at me. I got a really good look at him. And now, up until this time, I didn't care about a Bigfoot. Been out in the woods, fished, like I say, I was a professional angler, outdoorsman, all that sort of business. And, could care less about a Bigfoot, just didn't believe in them. Well, anyway, I was looking at this guy. It was a male. And he walked out into the creek there. And anyway, he was staring at me, and I was, and I was staring back. And, I was pretty shocked over this, because I hadn't seen anything like this. This guy was about 8 foot tall, weighed about 700-800 pounds, really, really built, powerfully constructed. He was very dark, reddish brown hair, long hair, maybe 8, possibly 10 inches. Didn't have a flat nose at all. Fairly dark complected. Like maybe, somebody from Arabia, or, Middle Eastern country, maybe, or maybe a Native American. And, but he, you could tell that he was really, powerfully built, powerfully constructed, you could see his musculature. And, like I've stated many times, I knew quite a bit about, skeletal muscle, because I had been a competitive Olympic lifter, power lifter, and a competitive bodybuilder with many trophies, awards, owned my own gym. So I knew a little bit about, what, the human body is supposed to look like. And this guy was just, you could tell that he had a lot of muscle under the hair. His neck, it wasn't short. What it was his trapezius muscles. His traps were run all the way the length of his clavicles to his deltoids. You could see, where the pectoral muscles and the front part of the deltoid was. His quadricep, his thigh muscles were just huge. Anyway, what I seen wasn't a big monkey, looked like a human being. His hair come up to about his beard, or come up to about where his, about cheekbone, right up in here. His hair right here come down to about, I don't know, maybe 3 fingers. I really couldn't tell about his brow, because his whether his brow protruded, because his eyebrows was pretty thick. But anyway, I decided that I just about ready to, I did panic. I kind of freaked out, and I just kind of tossed a fish to him. It was on my stringer. Didn't throw it at him, just tossed it. It landed maybe 3 feet, 4 feet from him. And then I wanted to just get out of there, So I started walking backwards really fast, keeping an eye on him. That didn't work out, because I kept falling down. And then I started running away down the creek. Now this area where I was at, and it's still like this. There's no hiking trails on either side of this creek right through there. Okay. And so anyway, after falling down a few times on the rocks and what have you, I decided, well, I'm going to get outside the creek and run through the woods back to my campsite. Well, I was running through the woods. I was running, getting hit by limbs and, briars and just everything. And, I was getting hung up in the vines, fishing pole getting hung up in the vines. And anyway, I got back to camp. I just had a little bivy sack. So I just grabbed it, threw it in the back of the truck with my rod and reel. I left everything else. I left my coffee pot, mess kit, everything else, lantern, chair, and commenced to get out of there, And but this road that you go down on is just, it's a mess. It's rocks, it's dirt, it's pothole, potholes everywhere. At the time, I had a little 4x4 Nissan pickup truck, a little bit big cab, and anyway, I got towards Berea, Kentucky. I thought, well, I'm gonna get a little bit of gas. And I went in there, and everybody was staring at me. And I went out to pump the gas, and this lady and her kid was staring at me, and she told the kid to get back in the vehicle, And I thought, what the hell's everybody looking at me for, And I had blood all over me, because I had been running through everything. I had tore up T-shirts. I had, I've been stuck with thorns. I've been stuck with limbs. Like I tell people, I just look, I've been in a knife fight, So anyway, I get back to Louisville. At the time I was living in Louisville, and I had a pretty good group of friends, Some of them I'd work with, some of them I'd, work for me and what have you. And told them what I'd seen. And they said, well, Don, you must have seen a Bigfoot. So I'm like, well, I agreed with them. I had to be a Bigfoot. I mean, what else is 8 foot tall when you're about 700-800 pounds? It looked like that, right? Right. So then I wanted to, I wanted to find out as much as I could about the Bigfoot, So I started, talking to people, in Kentucky and Southern Indiana and what have you. And I had people tell me, they said, well, Don, what you seen was a tree stump. And I'm like, what? They said, Don, nah, man, what you seen was 3 giant naked hippies. And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? So I realized that, most people like he wasn't gonna, these experts or so, or whatever. They, they did not listen. They didn't care what I'd said, you know. But I didn't know it at the time that, there was a big debate as far as, is Bigfoot a big monkey or is it some type of humanoid? I don't know any of that coming into this. You know what I'm saying? And because I realize now that because I didn't see a silverback gorilla out there, then my God, I couldn't have seen a Bigfoot. You see what I'm saying? Plus, the Bigfoot had green eyes. The Bigfoot had green eyes. I was 30 feet away from this Bigfoot. I had probably the best view anybody could have. Okay. Not a cloud in the sky, about 1 in the afternoon, about 30 feet away. Okay. He had green eyes. And of course, that was like, oh my God, no way he had green eyes, And anyway, so I decided, well, look, man, I'm just going to, I started my own little group with my own little friends and went out on my own. And then I decided, well, I'm going to try to buy as many Bigfoot books as I can to learn as much as I could find out about the Bigfoot. Well, I bought 39 books, okay, over a period of time. And what I found out was about 80% of what was in the books or more, depending on what book I were wrong. Okay. Some of the people who wrote the books are still very well known in the world today, So, just give you an example, back then, the big thing was that Bigfoot was a herbivore, ate, fruits, grubs, nuts, crawfish, maybe things like that, Me and my buddies was out there after several months. We found out, yeah, you know what? The Bigfoot kill and eat deer. All right. Now, if we could find this out in just a few months, why couldn't these people that wrote the books and who were on TV come up with that? You see what I'm saying? So I was just, just doing everything. I just stayed away from everybody else, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because I realized that going on some of these people's websites, blogs, and different things, that a lot of them didn't know the living habits of their local wildlife, much less know something about the Bigfoot, So, and then I just went on with my research, And since then, I've gotten glimpses of Bigfoot. Not all. Well, let's see. There's some of them's been black haired. Had black hair,
Red hair.
red hair. I seen one white Bigfoot. Along the Green River down there, and what have you. But yeah. So anyway, that's basically how I roll. I just basically do my own research, fly by the seat of my pants, and go on from there. Just I don't pay attention to what other people say or groups. Don't even watch Bigfoot TV, and that's what we do. So that's how I got started.
I haven't looked back yet.
I haven't looked back yet.
Well, I have a question. What got you in this?
Well, my earliest sighting was when I was a child. And my family will tell you I've pretty much been obsessed with Bigfoot since I was a kid. And I didn't really I lived in different places. I lived in the Catskill Mountains in New York, and my dad had hunting property in the southern tier of New York. And you see different things growing up, and my dad's blaming it all, like he had a hunting trailer. Well, we went there one time in the middle of the woods, middle of state land, and the door was ripped off and thrown across the field. And my father sitting there saying, "Damn kids." What damn kids? There's nobody there. Nobody there. So, we just evidence like that. And he always had us in the woods on the weekends, trails, breaking trails, creating trails, whatnot. And there was always just these things that made you go, huh? So, and then I found out years later that he actually had a sighting there. And I'm like, well, that's funny, because let me tell you, as a child, I saw, and I told him what I saw, and I said, I didn't know what it was. And he goes, well, that's probably similar to what I saw. But my brother and I, that was what we did. We just played in the woods, and we were very young. He was probably about 6. I was probably like 8 or 9 at the time. And we were just playing, found the stream. We were playing by the stream, and the sun was shining through the trees. And the next thing I know, the sun wasn't shining through the trees. And I look over, and there's just this dark thing just kind of going like this between the trees, just 1 foot to the other foot, 1 foot to the other foot. And I had no idea what it was. I was raised in the woods. I wasn't afraid of anything really. And I just kind of kept an eye on it. And my brother pops up and he goes, "I'm not comfortable anymore. Let's go back." So that's what we did, and I didn't tell him that story until he was an adult, but he still doesn't believe in Bigfoot. But, I just remember that as a child, and then I was just pretty much looking for Bigfoot ever since. Wherever I went, I just always knew that they existed, and didn't matter where you were, what woods you were in. I felt like the possibility they could be there. So, and then as far as researching, I always kind of did my own little research here and there where I found things, prints, things that happened, screams, whatnot. And I was like, that's a Bigfoot, that's a Bigfoot, and it wasn't until, my children were grown when I really kind of just started doing a little bit more research here and there. Just things you've seen that you just kind of collect in your brain, and you file away. And then Don and I got together, through a Facebook page, kind of thinking the same things along the same lines as far as what we were seeing in our research. And, we decided to go on an expedition together, and that was history, created history right then and there.
Yes, it did.
So, we've just been kind of researching whenever we can get together since then. Found a lot of evidence. We seem to kind of always stumble on something, even when we're not trying to research. It seems like we always find something.
Well, tell us a little bit about the research that you've done.
The what?
You what now?
Tell us about what you're finding out there in your research.
Well, what Celeste and I, what we do is we do things a little differently than most. We don't really try to chase down individual eyewitness account locations. What we've tried to do is to locate the habitat areas where the Bigfoot actually live. They raise their families and all this sort of business.
And we also go by weather patterns.
Yeah. Topo maps.
Yeah. And what's going to be in the area during that season? Is it going to be after deer season's open? Is it, ducks, fish, with salmon running in certain areas. So you kind of look at those type of things, migration patterns of animals that they would find. they're omnivores. I mean, they are opportunists. They will eat anything.
We're convinced they
We
will.
we found a kill zone, but among that kill zone, we found deer legs broken off. We found deer carcass where the hide had looked like it just been ripped off from the neck down. We found goats, cow spine, but we also found bags of garbage, like they had stolen the garbage. So
They raid
yeah,
dumpsters. They're dumpster raiders.
Well, I don't know. In this particular area, there's no dumpsters available. So I think they just raided like
people's garbage cans,
like
maybe.
a fisherman's garbage, or something like that. So, I mean, that's kind of what I think about it, because of where we were and the location where we were was a very good fishing location. So I think they just stole fishermen or campers' garbage. But and we found quite a bit in that zone.
And we're still investigating it, and we still find
Yeah.
more and more and more evidence.
We've actually found out that when we found the goat skulls, that the summer prior, people were complaining that their goats had come up missing.
Yeah.
So it kind of matched. Where we found them was in the vicinity of where these people said their goats came up missing.
Yeah.
And you've had goats that came up missing, and so it's kind of like a favorite food, it seems like.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Goats, you reach down the fence, pick it up. It's almost like they offer themselves up.
And just grab them.
So, I would suggest anyone that has a farm or raising goats have, farm dogs.
Tall fence and farm dogs.
Yeah. Get yourself some herding dogs and some protective dogs. So, and cows too, they'll take advantage of a sick cow and run it down.
Yeah.
Run it down.
Yeah, we've run across all types of structures, the TP type, that just
asterisks. We were going through our
asterisks.
Photographs today.
Yeah.
And some of them, when we put them all together in groupings of what they are, like your asterisks or your TPs, it's like, wow, we really got some good evidence from different parts of the eastern United States. And they made a little bit different here and there. Some of them use a little bit different material.
Some of them are like in swamp areas.
Yeah.
Some of them in like hilly mountain areas. Some of them in just forest areas. So they use what they use the type of material that they can use, and what have you. But yeah, we were going over. We're in the process of writing a book right now, and we've been going over a lot of our photos. Some of them we've never posted, and but the thing is this is what we do. When we see a possible Bigfoot structure, okay, we look for Bigfoot tracks to corroborate. If we don't find any Bigfoot tracks, we don't take a picture of the structure. It don't matter what the structure looks like, how good it looks like, we just don't do it. It's all like a litmus test for us. Okay. And that's just what we do.
Some sort of evidence, not just,
yeah.
It doesn't always have to be just tracks, but there has to be some sort of evidence that they were there. We found where there's one place actually we feel is a nursery, and that they migrate there a certain time of year and have their young there because it's primitive camping, and other campers have complained that they hear babies crying in the woods. And we had heard that. And I said, I bet you they have their young, because it does sound like a baby crying in the woods. So this particular place, we found very small teepees.
Very small tracks.
And small tracks. And
along with the larger tracks.
Yeah, that was one of the smallest tracks we found. That was the night they got into the food tent. The food tent. It's still Don's chips. They like to steal from Don, but they stole his potato chips and granola bar or something.
Yeah, they steal all kinds of things. They
didn't take my food.
Yeah, we had a food tent, and we had tracks too. We took pictures of tracks, and they had unzipped the food tent, and they didn't take everything, but they took out a few things, and what have you.
He had sort of like a Pringles can or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't Pringles, it was something else, and there was like a muddy fingerprints on it, and they left it for him empty.
Yeah.
But then another time they stole his cookies. This is, same general area. And I often told him, I said, I bet you the one that stole your cookies is now an adult and he knows who you are. And he just likes to steal your food.
We think that they do know who we are, because we got several locations that we're convinced that they are habitat locations and travel areas. And we believe that they know who we are, and that they know that we don't mean them no harm, that, we're not, we don't harass them in any way. We just go in talking a normal tone of voice. We don't whisper or anything like that. And we photograph evidence, structures, tracks, signs, whatever, and what have you. And so I think she thinks too that they at least look at us as friendly and not a threat. And maybe even because they do gift us at times. So maybe even as friends, So I don't know. But like I say, we're very key with what we do.
We don't go out at night. We're not going to be running through the woods at night. I mean, there's just too many snakes, and too many other things, to be worried about. And, different parts of the United States have different predators. So cats here. Other we go, there's bear.
Black bear.
Don't
want to run into one of them at night. But and during the summertime, you have venomous snakes. But you also have hazards like this. Drowning hazards, water hazards.
Big cave areas. I mean, we were walking, and I can say this spot, Mammoth Cave. We were sent there to check on a sighting, and we're walking along a trail, and there's just boulders. And I looked on the other side of the boulder, and there's just a hole in the ground. I'm like, a kid climbs over this boulder and he falls in that hole. He's gone, because you don't know where that leads to, especially at Mammoth Cave. I mean, you just really got to stick to the trails there. And this is where I had a sighting. We were on the trail, and up to the left, I see something in the corner of my eye. And again, it was like a boulder field. And I look and I just see something with red hair ducked down on the boulder, and I see the end of its arm. It's like its arm was still up and it went down behind the boulder. And I thought, the way it looked is like, I can sneak over there. I'm going to try and sneak over there.
Yeah, I remember.
No, because there, it's a boulder field, but yet there's these just huge holes in the ground. And I'm like, that's probably what happened, is it just dove into a pit in the ground and it's gone. So there's just too many hazards, and that's in the daytime, and
I see it at night anyway. I mean, think about it. I mean, 99% things that we find are in daylight where you can actually see things. I mean, and plus we don't, like I say, we're very low key. We don't yell, scream, howl. We don't tree knock, none of that nonsense. We don't do none of that. We have found out that the Bigfoot are very curious. And we've, if you're, believe me, man, they know you're there. If you're in a Bigfoot area, they know you're there.
And it's like you would know if somebody came into your house or your neighborhood,
And we've photographed all kinds of evidence where they they have been, my gosh, just a few feet by our tent at night, and just and sitting down.
Yeah.
Sitting down. They went ahead and took pine bogs and sat down just a few yards away from our tent to watch.
Because we were in the middle of an ice storm, and I think they felt sorry for us and just trying to, well, maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they were trying to see if we were going to die in the ice storm, but you know, because we ended up stuck there for a couple days, just waiting for the weather to break a little bit, but we managed. But yeah, they were watching us. They had kind of put it, you know, in the direction of like a direct line between us and where the porta potties were, you know, and I'm like, it's an ice storm. I'm not going to go outside. I'm going to go to the porta potties.
We were in a primitive camping area, and we were the only ones there, probably because of the weather. But and that area there, the habitat location is about 2 miles from where we were at, and we've gotten all kinds of evidence from that place. But yeah, so
and you could see where they were sitting for a while, and in the pine boughs and the ice, there was a butt print.
Yeah.
You know, they had been sitting there so long, they left
and tracks, which we photographed.
Yeah.
But they're very curious about people. Now, you know, we're convinced that if you go out there with flashlights, floodlights, and chase them around and harass them, you know, then they're going to try to get as far away from you as they can. You know, and
we do keep it low key, and sometimes we get criticized for that. You know, I'm out there usually just with my cell phone.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have a digital recorder. It just depends. But there, you know, and we use low key, you know, inexpensive gadgets, because what if they get broken or something? I mean, we have binoculars, we have a whole bag we carry with things in it. And that's just, you know, binoculars, and we got trail cams that we use sometimes.
Just give you an example, you know, there are several areas in the state of Kentucky. Now we go all over. We go all the way to New England and do the South, and you know, Kentucky and the Midwest. But the thing is there's several places in Kentucky that used to be pretty good places to do Bigfoot research. But over the past couple of years, there's been so much activity by large groups that bother with these areas anymore. You know, because there's no Bigfoot there. Okay, they've all been run off. You know, and you know, it's a shame. You know, what we're trying to, what Celeste and I are trying to do is we're trying to protect the Bigfoot, and because you know they're constantly harassed, and we believe that you know that you know they're being pushed more and more and more, you know, away, and we've noticed this in our own research, you know, that the more of these areas, and we don't go to the same areas all the time. You know, we always leave several months before we go back to an area. We let it rest for a while, you know. But some of these areas they became so popular, and that the larger groups, 15, 20, 30, 40 people, you know, will just overrun the place, you know. And of course that drives the Bigfoot out. And so we that's basically what we do, you know. But we've had some pretty good we've had some pretty good dealings with the Bigfoot. Um, like we had cookies, we had a Bigfoot come in, and we've seen the Bigfoot come in and steal the cookies. We've seen that happen ourselves. And
It happened so fast.
yeah, and we seen so many daggone things.
Well, you had something about fire time. Was it you guys were having? There was one that crept up to the fire.
Yeah. I had a group before me and Celeste got together, and mine was with it. And we were in this great location. Everybody was just talking around the campfire, and all of a sudden, then godly yell, scream, and we looked up, jumped up, looked in the direction, and there was this Bigfoot, about 5 foot tall, weighing, 300, 350 pounds, just was standing there and ran into the woods. Now, we don't know how long that juvenile Bigfoot had been standing there watching us, you see. But they're so silent, they just come and they go, and they just kind of drift in and out and what have you, But we don't know why it yelled or screamed or whatever, and but even though it was about 5 foot tall, but it was very, very large, body wise, and yeah, we've had all kinds of things happen. We was at one, Celeste and I was at one location, and these little solar lights you put on your tent, and we strung them up, and there was a tornado. Actually, a tornado had gone through the park, and we didn't even know if we'd have a tent left, So anyway, we seen the lights, and the wind had blown the lights off, and the lights were about how far, 20, 30 feet?
It was like 20, 25 feet.
Yeah, in front of the tent. So we
were huddled in the car for safety.
And so anyway, when we got out a couple hours later, we dozed off. When we got out a couple hours later, the lights were...
Well, they were gone.
Yeah.
The lights were gone. They were nowhere to be seen. And so we went to go check on the tent because it was flooded, had flooded water and everything. And Don tripped on something as he was going inside the tent. And he's in the tent, and I look down and I'm like, Don, look at what you tripped on. They had strung the lights all the way around the bottom of the tent. So, hold on, there's a message. So it was like all the way around, and then they had stuck a stick in the corner of the tent where the tent stake had come out, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they just stuck a stick down it to hold the tent down. And they moved some of my lights that I had out and whatnot. So it was just like, but what in the beginning of the storm, we had tried to get into a shelter, and the sewage had filled so much that it started coming up in the shelter that they had provided for tornado shelter. So we ended up just hunkering down in the vehicle. The tornado had already passed, but the rain and the wind was still real bad. And when the lightning would strike, it was off to the kind of the left of the car. You could just see this, there was nothing there, and then lightning strike, and then there was just this really broad being, man-shaped, standing there.
See this Bigfoot.
When the lightning would strike, you would see it just glow. And so we knew he was there. We knew we had seen him earlier that day when we were looking for the shelter we were assigned to go into. So we knew where it was. And so we saw him crossing from the woods to get to the other side. There was really nobody there. It's a derelict place. People don't hardly go there anymore. It's very derelict. So he was crossing the old parking lot, and we're just sitting there looking at him, and he's just looking at us walking, just kept on walking. and he went in the woods.
Didn't pay us any mind.
No, he went in the woods towards the direction where our campsite was. So we think it was him standing there watching us. And when we did get up in the morning, it was because there was not a lot of sleep going on, but you could see a face print on the window, like, half a face looking in.
Like I say, it was about the size of a hubcap.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a huge, long face, but it was only like you could see an eye, an eyebrow, and part of the nose and part of the mouth.
And chin.
Yeah. So we knew it had been there and it was gone. And, we for sure thought our tent was gone. It was flooded.
We felt like it was like he was maybe looking over us or something, man,
Yeah.
But we'd been in this area many, many, many times. Took pictures of a whole lot of structures, tracks and track lines.
This was where they were doing deer drives.
We were there one night when they had a deer drive. The Bigfoots had a deer drive, and they were killing the coyotes
because the coyotes were interfering,
and they were crushing them, smashing them against trees, throwing them against the ground. I mean, you felt sorry for the coyotes. You know what I'm saying?
It was a scary night. It sounded like a horror movie.
That was the first. That was our first
expedition
together. That happened.
And that's when the thievery happened too.
Yeah.
It was all the same weekend. It was a lot going on. It was a lot to process. Yeah. It was definitely a lot to process that weekend. Like, gee, should we even be working together?
But it's just it's been a lot of fun, and we just like I say, we just do just do what we do and what have you, and of course we developed our own theories, and sometimes I develop theories and come back maybe 6 months, a couple of years later, and decided that's not right because you see more evidence to the contrary,
Mm-hmm.
And we did take a picture. I had a game cam up and took a picture of the top of a head of a Bigfoot, but
it was trying to sneak around
and
the camera, and we got just the top of it.
Yeah, top of the head.
But and that's the same when we got that photo. That's the same. I hang these solar lights up. The ones that automatically come on when it's motion detected.
Yeah.
So I had charged a couple up and I hung them up in the trees, and something turned them off. Something hit the off button. So I mean, they're smart. If they watch you do something, and they are constantly like like I said, you're entering their house, their home. They're going to watch you to see what you do. And I'm like, and I told Don, I said, something turned this off. I'm like, it's literally on off.
Yeah.
And there was, again, we were one of the only ones there. I think there was one other person that was there. That was it.
I've had game cams just turned all the way around.
Yeah.
And, shoved all the way down to the ground. Things like that too, and, they have to be smart to put up with us, to put
to
up
avoid
with people,
us,
to avoid us, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just, they're pretty amazing,
and they are, and we need to appreciate that and respect them and respect their domain. We're visiting their domain, and be respectful because, you don't want someone coming into your house and being disrespectful and destroying stuff and hollering and screaming and,
riding ATVs.
Yeah.
I mean, nonsense.
So we try and be respectful of that. We had a few things. Sometimes, I think a couple times we've had things thrown at us. Oh, when we first started bringing Ari out with us investigating, the German Shepherd, he knew that he knows they're there, and he has guided us to many structures and whatnot. But the first time we brought him out, they were throwing rocks at him. And it was like he was dodging them. It was like he knew they were coming, and he'd back up and he'd move to the juke to the side, and a rock would land, and he would just stare off into the woods at him. And so he's basically trained himself to look out for them, and they don't throw rocks at him anymore at this particular area, but they did that first time.
Yeah, they didn't like him at first.
They threw, and that was the only time I've had anything thrown at me.
I guess they realized that he wasn't a threat. He was with us,
and they respect him because we were there. It was the first time we brought him. You were in your tent and I was in the other tent with Ari, and Ari heard something in the woods, and he got up and stood over me. His belly was over me, and I went to get up and he pushed me back down. And he stood over me and he just let out one deep woof. And, it was whatever it was ran off. And Don from his tent said, I heard whatever he was barking at. So.
Yeah, it was crashing through the woods.
Yeah, it ran off.
It wasn't it wasn't no dog. Or deer.
No. He's very protective of us. But whenever that happens, we listen to him. We kind of just, Ari's alerted to something and we'll tell each other, we know what to look for now. But they haven't bothered him since.
So. I got a question for you, Don. What kind of cookies did they take from you? I want to know.
Peanut
butter cookies. What happened was Celeste makes some great peanut butter cookies, man. She does. And so anyway, we were at this one location. We counted today. We had 6, 7. What was it?
What?
Local habitat locations.
Yeah, 7.
7. And we were at this one location, and it was dark. We were sitting there at the campfire, and I was sitting there eating some cookies. And
I was in bed.
Yeah, and she decided, well, I'm going to bed. I said, okay. So I was out there just watching. You know how it is. You're watching the campfire, and you just just relaxing. Well, I heard the Bigfoot coming. There were several of them. There's at least 2, maybe more. So I was sitting there, and they were really close. And even though I've never been hurt by a Bigfoot or anything, they're capable.
Mm-hmm.
They're big enough, strong enough, fast enough, and we've seen what they do to animals, man. So what have you? And they even hunt bear.
Mm-hmm.
So so the thing is, and wild boar. But the thing is this. I got kind of nervous there. I put the lid on the cookies, put it on the top of the cooler, and headed towards the tent. Celeste says, Don, you come to bed already? And I says, yeah, man, the Bigfoot are right inside the tree line there. I no sooner said that, okay, one of them ran out of the woods, grabbed my cookies, and she's seen it.
It had the cookies under one arm and it had one arm out like this, and it just ran.
It was like no holds barred.
Well, it was summer, so it was just a screen tent. We just had the screen on the tent. We didn't have all the flaps down or anything. So you had a 360 view of everything around you. And it just came out it was just a giant black blur, and all I saw was its arm out like this as it was running. And Don goes, well, because he thought he knocked over the cooler. I said, no. I said, well, where'd you put the cookies? He goes, on top of the cooler. I said, well, the cookies are gone.
We never did find the cookies. He took the damn cookies. But
and just it's in a plastic Tupperware thing, square. And I'm like, well, we went looking for it the next day, and
it's gone.
It was gone. They were, I mean, every time he took a bite of cookie, like they were growling at you.
Yeah, I mean, you could like you could hear them. I mean, like I said, there was at least two of them, and you could actually hear them. And I'm thinking, man, this is just because I was only just a few feet away. And you can't see, you got the firelight, right? But you can't see anything past the firelight. And it's
Right.
like, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to the tent, So that's what I did, and campfire was still burning, and
and the night before, they had come through and knocked over his chair, just like tossed it.
I don't know what that was all about.
They were mad at you about something.
Yeah, I mean, they just took it and just
they tossed
my chair. I mean, just tossed it.
Didn't bother mine or my son's. They tossed yours.
And but it's just I don't know. It's just kind of the way they are. It's and we've found that some are more friendlier than others at different places.
Mm-hmm.
There was one point where we were trying to figure out. This is actually our very first weekend expedition too, where I took the app. There was a tree that was like split, and it was probably like 5 inches around. So I took an apple and I stuck it in where the split was, and there was leaves all at the bottom. So I'm like, I'm gonna hear it, because they were taking our food, and I was like, I'm gonna hear it. The leaves are on the ground. I'm gonna hear it approach it. They get the apple. I'm ready. I'm gonna get a picture.
I know.
That next morning, apple's gone. I never heard anything, but they left a track, and it was a little track. It was probably about 5 to 6 inches, just a little track. So that's kind of what told us that this area was.
A lot of juveniles there.
Yeah, it was a nursery area.
Yeah, we think that what they do is that the Bigfoot, the young is very well behaved. And I think that some of these structures, they just simply put the young inside them, even though they really wouldn't hold them if they wanted to get out. But that gives the mother, they can go away from the young within eyesight. I think they're always in eyesight of the young while they gather food and what have you. And and what we think is that the young just basically just stay in one or more structures while their mothers go out here and gather things for them to eat. But that's another theory of ours. But and we got that because of the tracks and
the tracks leading up to these smaller structures.
Right.
That again, I couldn't fit in it as an adult human. But when I looked into it and, kind of crawled into it, again, you could see something was sitting, sitting in that spot. It was worn. They were sitting there with their backs up against a tree, but yet it was like a teepee structure built all around the tree.
Right.
So, and I'm like, you could definitely see something sitting here.
Yeah.
And pushed all the brush away from it.
Right.
So. Yeah, if there's no evidence to be found, we're not going to make it up and take pictures of something if it corroborates something we've seen somewhere else, then it starts to build a case for it. So we take pictures of unusual things, and then we wait to see if that is a pattern that's repeated, like sticks in the ground. We have seen that in several different locations, not all of them. But in like 3 or 4 different locations where we've Bigfooted, we have seen where they stick sticks in the ground.
Just shove them into the ground.
And in one spot, I came up, the way it looked was like, it's almost like they're telling you how many of them there are. Mm-hmm. Or they're telling somebody how many there are. This is so-and-so. I came through here, there's... obviously preliminary speculation.
Yeah.
But that is in like 2 or 3 locations we see the sticks stuck in the ground, straight up and down. And even, close to where I live,
Yeah.
And you go out one morning to walk my dog.
She lives out in the middle of nowhere.
And there's a huge stick stuck in the ground. Huge stick.
Yeah.
Stuck in the ground. I'm like, okay.
Just pushed in there.
I see you.
Yeah.
I know you're here. I'm just gonna walk my dog.
Barry, we was talking earlier on the phone about Ohio and Salt Fork, and I told you I've been there several times and never seen anything. But however, I have been to Wayne National Forest, and I have photographed a lot of evidence there. And one of the longest track lines that I've ever run across was in Wayne National Forest. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Wayne National Forest has Bigfoot. I mean, there's structures, tracks, track lines. This one track line was well over 1.5 miles. And the thing about this track line was that it would go all the way to this clearing into the forest, right? And it disappeared. Couldn't find where it went. And I never will forget that. That's just really odd. I mean, it was a big Bigfoot left, like even in the debris on the forest floor, lots of tracks, didn't have no trouble tracking this guy. Okay. And come to the clearing, got close to the middle of the clearing, and then no tracks, none. And that has bothered me ever since. I don't know where that Bigfoot went. To this day, it bothers me. I wonder about it. But at South Fork, I have never seen anything in South Fork at all. I've been there several times. Actually, I was kind of disappointed, a few times. But I mean, but the Wayne National Forest, man. I mean, that to me, that's just that's a great place. But
I have heard stories of them being aggressive in certain areas, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. The thing about Salt Fork that we found is certain times of the year they're there. Certain times they're not. So and usually when I'm up there, I do house, and we get quite a few responses from the house.
Right.
And that could be a migratory pattern.
Yeah.
Because I do believe I don't want to call them tribes, but I think there's groups of them that are migratory and move around. And, because we'll have real heavy traffic for, like I said, as far as the migration of other animals go. You could probably map it out that way. If you know that there's something that's migrated to that area that they could eat on, feed on, or a certain plant blooming or whatnot, and just kind of track to see if what's happening in that area that's coinciding with the sightings.
We found areas where, like late spring, summer, in early fall, they're near the river. Then you have late fall, winter, and you have the rains, the rivers flood, and they'll move, and some of them go a mile away, some of them go several miles away. Just depends, because they need cover, and that's something else too,
But if they have a cave system, they don't really need the cover.
Yeah. But they're after. I'll tell you something else too. What we've come to the conclusion of is that some of the books I had, it's talking about maybe more, like no more than 300 Bigfoot in all of North America.
That's not the
and
case.
There's no way. We think there could be 50,000 to 100,000 at least.
And that's just counting, the eastern seaboard from let's say like Alabama up to New England. That's not even
just areas where we've been.
Yeah, because I've never had the privilege of going out to the Pacific Northwest. It's my dream. I just have never been able to do it. But one day I hope to do that. But it's just the area we've been in, or either one of us has been in at different times.
Mm.
That's what conclusion we've come up with.
We found areas where there could be as many as 25 to 30 Bigfoot, just by judging the different sizes of the tracks. You see, there may be some tracks to be 17, 18 inches, some tracks to be 12, 14, 15 inches. So, then you have smaller tracks, and it's just, yeah. And then again, we found some areas where there's probably no more than 2 or 3 or 4, you might have well, I guess you'd call it a
family unit.
Yeah, family unit or something like that. And, but it's, there's a whole lot more Bigfoot out there than what we were led to believe in those books.
So, yeah. I mean, we'll never know the number, and I mean, we just probably won't. And kudos to someone if they think they do, but that's just a guesstimation that we made just based on different things we've encountered. And they grow from babies to adolescents to adults. The older ones, there's one that in one area we go to that I call him the old man, because he's not as active as he used to be. He was so vocal for so many times that we'd been there, and this last time he was, it was almost like he was passing the torch to someone else, because he would be vocal a couple times and then he would let the other ones be vocal. So they I'm sure they have their, they die, and the group moves on or whatever.
Right.
But through his vocals, I just call him the old man, because that's kind of what he sounds like when he vocalizes. And he's been close before. He's vocalized close to the camping site, and it's like, oh, there he is. So
one, I have to say this to y'all. You guys are doing the research on these Bigfoot, and you're approaching it from the right way today. And that's why I want to bring you in here and let everybody know about your research and how you're doing this. A lot of people that write them books, Don,
yeah,
they sit behind a computer,
yeah,
and write the book.
Yeah.
So if you ever get an idea to write a book, I'll be one of the first ones to buy it.
Well, we're writing one.
We were working on it.
We were working on it today.
Well, I just got talked to the right one too, so I'll wait till yours comes out, then I'll throw mine out there.
Okay.
Well, we with everything we've got going on, ours may take a while.
Yeah, we're into so many things. Plus the fishing thing too, and what have you, the wilderness survival skills thing. We're in the. We got a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to the outdoors. You know what I'm saying? And
well, he's retired. I'm not.
Yeah, I retired. How long ago? 6 years ago. I should have retired a couple of years before that. But anyway, but the thing is though, is that you know how it is when you retire. Before you retire, you wonder, man, will I be able to fill my spare time? Will I be, will I get bored? And it hasn't been boring, man. I'm busier now. I'm busier now than I've ever been. But it's a fun busy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just we just have a ball. we really enjoy what we're doing, and
well, we have each other's backs, and we know we have each other's backs, and you know, we've come into a few tense situations, and you know, it was a situation where either I had to listen to him or he had to listen to me, and to, you know, exit the area. And you know, I'm like, we
we've
got
had some
close call,
crazy things.
because you know, it was right there.
We
You know,
walked
watch.
into a kill zone one time, didn't know it.
Yeah, and we have a picture. We took a picture of what we thought was a hunting blind, and he was in it.
Now the Bigfoot was in the hunting blind.
He was in it.
I got a friend that spent 27 years on the police force as a forensic photo video analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And any questionable photos that we have, I give them to him, and he does all kinds of things with them. And he's found things in the photos, and it's really been good working with him too. You know, because you know he's done things where he's had to testify in court, and you know,
He's, whether he knows it or not, he's part of the team now.
yeah. but he's a really good friend of mine. He used to work for me, and what have you, and but he's just a really good friend of mine. But he's helped us in a lot of ways as far as deciphering these
Right.
photographs that we're unsure of.
We really appreciate.
Sometimes
that.
you don't find anything. You know how that goes.
Right.
You think, well, it's got to be, and it's not. You know,
Right. Yeah.
And then you know, like we'll take a photograph of somebody and say, "Hey, Don or Celeste, man, did you know something in there?" And we'll look, and so then I go ahead and turn it over to Rick. You know,
and sometimes I don't see it, and I'm just like, I don't see what you see. You know,
right?
And you know, and it helps to have that third person looking at it. But I don't know how, you know, and kudos to those that can do this research without a teammate or a member that, you know, I mean, great if you can get out there by yourself. And I have gone out by myself, but there's, through the experiences we have had, and I'm not just talking Bigfoot experience, we've had some really weird things happen to us while we were out in the field, and scary things. And I would never, ever go out and research by myself again. If I'm not researching with Don, I'm not researching.
I'll tell you what, Bear, there are several things that have happened to us.
That'll be another book.
Yeah, that'd be another book. In the field that just literally unexplainable things, several, and just incredible. I mean, you just don't know, and
you there?
Just
Oh man! Whoops! Something happened. They may have exited not knowing it. Anyway, we'll give them a couple of minutes and see if they can make it back on. But I personally, I've been sitting here and listening to everything that they had to say, and this has been an awesome show to me. Anyways, there they are.
Oh, don't blame me.
Who hit the button?
Don't blame me.
All right. Who hit the button? Which one? Come on. Somebody take it and run with it.
I hit one button, he hit another, so it was
but yeah, I mean, it's just some of the things that have happened to us. I don't know if you want to call them
No, I don't want to call
You know, you don't want to call them paranormal
No, I don't want to call them paranormal.
or supernatural or whatever, but just really, really strange, bizarre things. And um,
it made Bigfoot look like a walk in the park.
yeah, and we still talk about amongst ourselves a couple of things that we cannot explain. We cannot explain.
And we've talked to people about it just because it was so hard for us to comprehend that we've actually had to go talk to experts in like, I don't know even what you would call they were experts in, but they were experts in like dimensional things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because, you know, it was just so out there and we're just like, yeah, this is not something I want to deal with.
Yeah, we don't want to ever have something like that ever happen again.
We just walked right into it.
Yeah, and it just I don't know, man. You know, there's a lot of things out there people don't know. You know, like I tell people, you know, there's, you know, people are born into this world, live in this world, die in this world, and they don't know what lives in this world.
They never leave their porch.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? And it's one thing, you know, that I found out doing the Bigfoot. You know, before Bigfoot, you know, I hiked every public trail in the Smoky Mountains solo. I hiked the Shawante Trail going from northern Kentucky into Tennessee solo. I hiked several times north south in the land between the lakes solo. Okay. Fished both sides of the lake for 5 decades or longer. Okay. But there's some things in this world, man, that you just don't, you know, unless you somehow, unless you experience it, you just don't know.
And we wouldn't wish it on anyone.
But it's scary, you know.
Yeah,
there's things out there. I don't know.
But that's why you should always have a partner.
Right, I understand. But when I was younger, I was dumb, and a lot of times I went out by myself.
Right.
Trying back, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, nobody wanted to talk about Bigfooting. I mean, that was just the thing. And so, anyways, you know, I've been out many a times by myself, and I've had a lot of things happen to me, like trees getting pushed over, rocks thrown at me, tree limbs thrown at me, screamed at from 15, 20 feet away, 30 feet, followed out, all that stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I agree with you. Having a partner, which I have a partner now, my wife, you know, she goes with me. So if we go out bigfooting together, I don't push it like I used to. And I think a lot of times when I was younger and by myself, I pushed a lot, and that caused me some trouble. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. If you go out bigfooting, take a partner. They're more, and take one that's even tempered. So which one of you two is the even tempered one? Or can I guess?
Depends on the situation.
I've got a feeling Celeste is more even tempered than Don is. Just my opinion.
No, Don's usually. I'm cool. Okay, when things are going wrong, I'm really cool, calm, and collected until afterwards. You know, and he's, you know, the situations we've been on, we've had to depend on each other. You know, to keep a level head. We're not freaking out if something goes sideways, as far as when we're out in the woods and things like that. We're not freaking out. Now, we probably will freak out later,
Right.
when things are settled and whatnot. We'd be like, what the heck was that? And when there was an instance when this is the kill zone, we heard, everybody talks about the infrasound. We heard this like
Mhm.
wind just like come and go, throughout. Nothing was blowing around, but it sounded like this wind just came in down upon us and all around us. And I told him, I said, we got to go now. We've got to leave now. Well, he's still taking pictures. And I'm like, Don, we got to go now. And it like snapped him out of it. And he's like, oh, we got to go now. So we get to the vehicle and he's like, what did you hear? What did you hear? I'm like, I can't believe you didn't hear that. Well, then it happens again. And he's just tried to scramble to get in the vehicle.
I couldn't get in the vehicle fast enough.
Because it's like you walk through the woods and you hope that whatever's making that sound isn't following you. And then you get to your vehicle, which, we're safe. We're at the vehicle. We're safe. We can chill. No. It was whatever it did. Did it right there when we were at the vehicle. And it was just this, all I can say, it was like a wind sound with no wind blowing.
It's the damnest thing you ever heard.
And, that's where, it's like, hey, come on, let's go. We got to go. We got to go.
No wind blowing.
No, just the sound.
Just a real big, just a large, loud sound of wind.
But then there's a time when, I talk about, we posted it because it's kind of funny. We were never going to post it, but it was funny, is where I'm trying to climb up this hill to look into this tree that's hollowed out because for other cryptids. And I ended up falling back down this hill, but he had to catch me, and he did catch me, and it's like at the end, I'm like, Don, I lost my shoe, and he's like, it's like you just see me slide down the hill, to see the camera sliding down the hill. But I mean, he was there to catch me, and it was like, okay, he thought he was going to end up on the ground. He was
Pretty near dead.
But
well, go ahead, Celeste.
That's just what partnerships do. Where one leads off, the other one picks up. And if I sense something's dangerous and I don't want to be in the area, he listens,
Well, I listen to her 100% because I've been around her enough to know she's got a sixth sense.
I don't have a sixth sense. It's just,
yeah, you got a sixth sense.
I have a sixth sense.
Yeah,
and I trust.
Celeste, women have more in tune with their sixth sense than most men are.
Yeah, it's intuition. Yeah, I definitely think it's intuition. I just don't like to call it the sixth sense, or a sixth sense. But I'm intuitive to know, and I can read the signs around me. I mean, sometimes and it drives him crazy when I'm.
Yeah, my 4'11" tall stick of dynamite beside me here. She's more than she keeps me safe.
Yeah.
I tend to push too much, and she makes me behave.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if the situation feels dangerous, it's time to go. I mean, it's
there's no harm in leaving an area. When we was at this one, man, we went to this one area that we wound up into this ambush. There's a Bigfoot ambush site.
That was scary.
And this was a rough area. I mean, it was a hard hike, and just rocky. And anyway, we looked around and we looked at each other, and Celeste said, "Oh my gosh, Don." I said, "I know." We walked right into a Bigfoot ambush kill area. And there we are, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to get the hell out of here. So So
Mhm.
we did. But see, the way they build these things is incredible. There's hardly any way to escape.
No.
But somehow we got in there. But on one side there was a steep cliff, about maybe 7,500 foot deep down, and but we had to literally gingerly get. There was no way we could run out of there. We had to, very, very slow. It's slower getting down than it was getting up. Up there, and also when we got up there was no sound.
No.
None.
Nope.
No wind, no birds, no squirrels, no nothing.
No crickets, nothing.
Now when we come down, birds everywhere.
Yeah.
Squirrels.
It was like everything was holding its breath, and we just looked at each other like, oh, and we looked around, and it was, in a movie where the camera pans around them and they're just looking around like danger, danger. That's kind of what it was like. We just like looked around us and we're like, oh, we messed up. We did not see the sign that this was an ambush. So we just, Don sits on a tree that was laid across, that was, you couldn't get across, and he sits on it. I'm like, get up. We are not resting. I'm like, we are getting out. Executive decision made. Let's go. Like,
we're getting out of here, Donna. Okay.
He's like, I just need a rest for a second. It was a hard hike. It was a hard climb, to get up, and you're over boulders and whatnot and all this. And I was like, no, we got to go. we can't wait and rest, because, nope. We can rest at the bottom. And then it was like, when we get past a certain point on our descent, it was like the world came alive again.
And tell them about the vultures.
What about the vultures?
They were flying around.
Well,
yeah, all kinds of vultures flying around there.
Wasn't there like 6 or 7 of them? And they were like, and they're like, ah, shucks, we're disappointed.
Like they were expecting something to eat,
Yeah. And they were quiet. They weren't flying until we started descending, and then it was like they were mad.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what was hunting us. I was like, nope, we're out.
Right. So
see, he carries the gun. I don't,
Well, you need to start carrying one, young lady.
Well, I have a taser and a knife, and
she needs to carry a gun.
Yeah.
I keep telling her, carry a gun.
My wife carries a gun. She's 4'11", weighs about maybe 130, 135 pounds. She carries a .357 Magnum.
Yeah.
So, and she's very proficient with it. So, Celeste, the only thing I can do is caution you.
Yeah.
Find something that you can shoot proficiently and carry it with you.
Shot off shotgun.
That'll work. Anything to protect you, because if you run into that situation again, you never know. They might close the door and not let you out. You may have to fight your way out.
Yeah.
See, I'm totally different. I carry a gun 24/7,
Right.
I mean, I've always done that,
Mm-hmm.
But it just, I tell her all the time, you need to carry a gun.
Right. Yeah, you do need to carry one. Something to protect you, not only because, don't get me wrong, it's not going to always be the Bigfoot you have to protect yourself from. When you're out camping and say Don runs to town or he goes to check something and you're there by yourself, there's crazy people in this world, if you didn't know.
Well, that's what
they're dangerous.
Well, when I was doing all the solo through hikes,
Mm-hmm.
Way back when, man, you run into some weirdos on the trail, man. I mean, and so I mean, it's just it really wasn't the animals that you worried about. It was, who am I going to meet on the trail and tomorrow? Is it going to be crazier than this crazy thing I just run into today?
Yeah.
That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you just, you don't know who the hell's out there on the trail. And, but yeah, I carry all kinds of stuff.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You're the same as me. I mean, I've usually got a 9 or 10 inch knife that's super sharp. I can shave you with it, and
Right.
I carry a handgun, and sometimes I carry a rifle with me too. So I don't take any chances because I've got my better half with me, and uh, her getting out is more important than me, to me anyway. So just be cautious when you're out there. It's not only the Bigfoot or any other cryptid you got to worry about; it's the people too.
Well, that's what we were talking about is, I've had to change the whole way I do things. Um, if I go to the grocery store or something, I got to get it done early in the morning and be home by dark, you know?
Hmm.
So, because there's just, he lives in a different state than I do. And,
Hmm.
I do have a German Shepherd that's trained in personal protection. So, but still, it's just not safe for anyone to be out anymore. Even in the place I
Right.
live, that's pretty rural. So you've got to change everything, the way you do things. And that's a sad fact
Hmm.
of the situation at this point. But
Yep.
I got to have everything done by the time, it gets dark. And even when I arrive to work, because I work third shift, I arrive before the sun goes down.
Hmm.
So that I'm not caught out there in the dark. And like you said, it's not just Bigfoot, it's, other people that you got to
Right.
worry about.
So
So,
I'm kind of interested in hearing more about the strange things y'all encountered. So I would like to invite you back for another show whenever you guys have time, and
we
love
can
to
do
have you back and hear about all of it.
okay.
If you want to talk about it, I mean, it's up to y'all. It's y'all's decision. Uh,
Okay.
and So we've been here for almost an hour and 38 minutes now, and and I've kept quiet for a reason because I am so happy to hear someone else in the Bigfoot community espousing things about Bigfoot that I've known for a while.
Right.
And I
Good.
can't say enough about y'all. Y'all have been a uh, a blessing to me, uh,
Aw.
because of things that you've talked about, things y'all seen, uh, and so at this time, I want to ask y'all if you want, you can promote your Facebook or any
Okay.
other thing that you're on. Let us know where to find you. Let the guests, that's this part of the show. So y'all
Well,
promote your shows or whatever else your Facebook pages.
right now the Facebook page is Don and Celeste Team Peak. As far as Bigfoot and cryptid, Don has
I have a page, Donald Peak, simply Donald Peak. I cover Bigfoot, cryptids, and
Mhm.
a lot of fishing.
it's mainly his fishing
I
page.
cover knives and guns too, survival, things
Mhm.
like that.
So we both do have TikTok pages, but that's kind of not sure what's going on with TikTok yet. So, he's what's your Big Don, big what is it? Your TikTok?
Oh man, I don't know. Big Don,
Well,
Big Don,
we'll
big.
get back to you on that.
We'll get back to you on that. I ain't been on there for so long.
But it's mainly the Facebook is where all our videos are posted,
Mhm.
even strange experiences. The videos are there, pictures, You know, I do a lot of like 1.5 minute videos just to fit them on Facebook, because you know how Facebook is. Our red light updates are on there. We used to do our red light videos.
We do a lot of them in the summertime.
Yeah, that's usually we do in the summertime, because we're out at night and we're trying to keep our night vision, so we use a red light. So those are on there. Sometimes we go live. If we weren't doing the podcast this weekend, we probably would have done a live show, you know, just to talk about different things or something, you know, people have mentioned to us or what we found. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, and that's why we're trying to get these books together, but it's like a little bit overwhelming because there's so much.
I'll tell you what,
stuff.
Bear, we have so much photographic evidence that, you know, we knew we had a lot until we really got into it. And then we realized, my God, we got so much, you know, it's like, I mean,
arrows, you know, we have
structures, different structures, signs, track lines, just everything you could think of, asterisks,
pictures of trees where they've put rocks up in the trees, you know, I mean, you know, I mean,
we have all kinds of daggone stuff.
And so it may take us a while to get this book out. I mean, and what I need him to do is to sit down and, like, you know, how he told you all his experience at the beginning of the show, is to do that stuff and narrate his, and then I can narrate mine and somehow marry that together and combine it and, you know, get that in there. So,
yeah, but yeah, we'd be glad to come on there and tell some of these experiences that we've had, and that it's going to blow your mind. It blows our mind. We still talk about it.
I always tell him, I said, I don't want to talk about that. You know, and, you know, like, if he wants to talk about it, I don't. And then if I want to talk about it, he doesn't. It's like,
but well, with her work schedule, yeah, we'll have to get back with. I'll call you and what have you, and let you know, and we'd be glad to come back and then tell you about.
I'd love to have you. I'm truly would love to have both of you back on. And if Celeste, you don't want to talk about something when we do that show, you just reach over and pull his ear. I'll understand.
I poke him. Don't go there.
Right. I understand. But like I said, I would love to have you two back. I mean, you're the consummate Bigfoot investigators, researchers that we need in this field. And that's the way I observe. I see both of you are very good at it. And I would love to invite you guys to Salt Fort in April or August. I can send you the dates. They've been set, but we're just not ready to tell everybody, you know, when we're going to have it. And we're trying to keep it kind of smaller than what it has been, because of some issues of people we don't know showing up and just kind of messing up the whole work.
Yeah.
And you know, we want to make this one. I mean, if I have to blow my lungs out, then I will. And that's I know quite a few different howls and calls, and if I have to do it, I'll do it. It's we want to get, maybe, you know, it doesn't have to be a full-on sighting, you know, but we've got a plan if we do have one that we are finalizing. You know, everybody stays in the same spot, they face the same way, you know, get the same view on your phone or your thermal or whatever you're using. And we're finalizing that right now. And Of course, I get to be the guinea pig to go out there and play the Bigfoot, but that's beside the point.
Right.
Well,
But
we
we would
appreciate.
love to have you there. It's a camping trip, but Bigfooting is thrown into it.
Okay.
And my wife has seen 3 little ones there in the campground a few years ago.
Oh,
And yeah, she still says, I don't want to see the big ones. I just like the little ones. They're cute. They're not cute. But we would love to have you guys if you can make it in April or in August.
okay.
Like I said, I'll text you the dates, and you guys decide if you want to come. Just let me know.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate it.
We'll give you a heads up on when we could be on again. It won't be long. It'll just be a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's perfectly fine with me.
probably around March, maybe first part of March or something.
Yeah, I'd have to look at my calendar because my work schedules, changes.
I understand.
So
We would love to have you.
I can
Let me know. And Friday, Saturday night, Sunday night, if we need to, we'll do another Sunday.
Well, we appreciate you having us on tonight. We know it was Super Bowl, but we appreciate you guys, doing that with us.
Bigfoot is more fun than the Super Bowl. So,
right.
who cares?
We try. We try. We try to be fun.
Hey, you've been wonderful guests tonight. I really truly appreciate it and applaud you for being so knowledgeable about these creatures.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you. For
I'll toss you backstage if you want to stay and talk afterwards.
okay.
I'll be done here in just a minute, so I'm going to send you backstage and end the show. And then as soon as we're done, I'll be right with you. All right.
All right. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, that is a wonderful interview. I mean, that's just. I mean, I didn't. That's the type of interview I like to have, where they come on and they lead it and talk about the experiences they had. They're wonderful people. They do a wonderful job out there bigfooting, and they find a lot of evidence. So go check out their Facebook page. It's Donna Celeste Team Peak on Facebook. Go check them out. I hope you enjoyed it, and may each and every one of you be blessed by the Lord above each and every day of your lives. And make sure you turn yourself over to Him. That's just the preacher side. Y'all have a good night. Bye bye now.